In a video game industry that is crowded with generic first-person shooters, where innovation often gives way to what feels like repetitive and safe bets, there comes a game that actually feels different. So if you don't know who I am, my name is Will, and I've been playing The Last of Us multiplayer or factions for the last 8 years. And some of you may ask why. That's because factions was and is still different from anything out there. I like to think of myself as a very picky gamer, because outside of factions, there are very few games that I've actually enjoyed playing. Games like Battlefield 1 and The Division are a few examples, but nothing keeps bringing me back to my PlayStation the same way factions does. Which leads me into today's topic. A game that first caught my attention many years ago with its very first trailer. A game that had me addicted during its playtest, and a game that gave me the same feeling I got the first time I played factions all the way back in 2016. I am talking about Arc Raiders, and this is why it's shaping up to be a very special game. Arc Raiders comes from Mbox Studios, a relatively small team of ex-DICE developers, and are the team responsible for the creation of the finals. Although I wasn't the biggest fan of the finals, you can see the passion behind the creation of that game, and like Arc Raiders, feels less like a product and more like a passion project. You can imagine the pressure big gaming studios go through because of investor expectations and demands. So it's much easier for these big gaming studios like EA to continue to make games that are essentially safe bets. Games that only offer small changes to core features, and to be fair, it's understandable. Why risk failure when you have a product people will buy every year regardless of how innovative it is from its previous iteration?
Stop right there, criminal scum!
With Arc Raiders being made by a relatively small dev team, there isn't that same pressure to meet executive demands, and thus, Mbox Studios can get a lot more creative without fear of pushback about what will appeal to everyone and what will make the most money. Which leads me to my next point. A game made for everybody is a game for nobody.
No.
Take the Factions 2 situation as an example. A game that had been in development under Naughty Dog for 4 years and was near completion, only for Sony to tell Bungie to overlook the game. Which obviously resulted in very negative feedback, because as great a studio as Bungie is, what would they know about what makes Factions special? Sony should have trusted Naughty Dog to cook as they always have in the past, and maybe that game wouldn't ultimately have been cancelled. They simply allowed too many cooks in the kitchen and tried to make the game appeal to everyone, and now no one will have it. With Mbox Studios, they have free reign over their product. They don't have some corporate overlord looking down and telling them what to do. And ultimately, I think that's why the finals, while not for everyone, including myself, still has a cult-like following. It has a lot of people playing it, and they're doing a very good job with their live service. So I trust that Arc Raiders will be good in that regard as well. The world of Arc Raiders isn't just some backdrop. It's hostile, it's unforgiving, and it's hella terrifying. Not much is known about the world, as I'm sure we'll find out more when the game actually releases in October, but what we know now is that the surface world is ruled by hostile futuristic robots known as Arc, whose origin is still a mystery, and that just makes it way more terrifying facing these things. Humanity has been pushed to the brink of extinction, and what's left of it is taking refuge underground in the main settlement known as Speranza. You are known as an Arc Raider. You scavenge for resources, loot, and tech to help your underground community survive. You face off against Arc and other players, making it a player versus environment. The world of Arc Raiders, as dead as it feels, also feels alive with how many different types of enemy types there are in the game. Not only do you have to fear about other players, humans, but there's so many different types of actual Arc. From light enemies that are more annoying than anything like the Wasp, or Arc literally called to snitch, which calls for reinforcements. It's diabolical to say the least. Not all the Arc are built the same. There are massive, devastating Arc like the Bison that are heavily armored and are not to be taken lightly.
Oh my god, dude, no fucking fucking way in hell.
You do not want to mess with these guys. You will die and lose all your progress for that round. There are even special events that see you fighting behemoths like the Queen. Personally, I did not fight the Queen, but other players did run into the Queen, and those fights just looked absolutely mental and insane, and I cannot wait for Arc Raiders to actually release and fight whatever horrors come from Arc next. You want to pick your battles wisely, because if you don't, you will get eliminated. So the higher the risk, the higher the reward, so you really want to think about the engagements you take. Sometimes running away is your best solution, especially after a tedious round and you've got some loot that you need to return to Speranza. You wouldn't believe me if I told you that Arc Raiders' entire sound design is being worked on by a group of just 6 people. A moment of silence to appreciate these talented individuals. This brings me onto the aesthetics and the atmosphere. If you have been paying attention, I mentioned I really love games that immerse you within them. It's part of the reason I love Faction so much, and also Battlefield 1, and why I absolutely loved Arc Raiders on its playtest. Its retro-futuristic aesthetic sets it apart, evoking a vision of the future imagined in the past. Synth-heavy music, bold colors, and stark landscapes create a sense of beauty colliding with terror. Every encounter is a visual story, every battle a cinematic moment. A lot of people, including myself, got skeptical when the game was announced as a looter shooter, but then you got to actually play the game, and it hit you like a fresh breeze of air. And this is why Arc Raiders and small studios like Embark matter, because Arc Raiders is special not because it's flawless, but because it dares to take risks. In a time where so many games are afraid to experiment, it stands as a reminder that surprise, wonder, and danger can still exist in a multiplayer world. In the end, Arc Raiders is more than a game. It's a challenge, a vision, a statement that even in the most saturated genres, there's still room for something bold. The Arc is coming, and survival will not be easy. If you made it this far into the video, I just want to thank you for watching, and please subscribe for more updates regarding Arc Raiders, as I will be covering the game and playing it as soon as release day. So I just want to thank you again for watching, guys. Take care. My name is Will, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.